I think your tenure as Secretary of Defense has been shameful and weak, and you should resign. I yield back.
The U.S. military is meant to stand above politics, as a neutral force sworn to the Constitution. But every now and then, the clean line between duty and politics smudges into a mess. That's when Pat Ryan shows up. In a hearing that went from zero to awkward in record time, he took aim at Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth and didn't let go, landing blows that had Hegseth fumbling for answers. Congressman Pat Ryan recently decided he had reached his limit with what he saw as creeping partisanship worming its way into the armed forces. His target was none other than Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth. And this was not one of those polite disagreements over coffee that Washington sometimes pretends are debates.
We've all served in combat. We all love our country. We all revere our troops. And I really want to speak with you both, not as partisans, but as patriots. And I want to talk specifically about the events at Fort Bragg the other day.
Ryan went directly for the jugular, calling out what he believed was political contamination in the military ranks, and ending with a demand that shook the hearing room.
Should soldiers have to pledge political loyalty to participate in an event with our commander-in-chief? Yes or no, please.
You know how most congressional hearings feel like a bad high school debate team practice? Well, this one was different. Ryan came in not to score partisan points, but to hammer home one core principle. The U.S. military serves the Constitution, not a political party, not a president, and definitely not a campaign slogan.
General Kane, I want to start with you. As a junior officer, were you ever required to make a pledge of political loyalty? Yes or no?
Sir, as you know, we
General,
have an apolitical military,
time.
so, no.
Thank you.
And the reason for this urgency came from a specific incident at Fort Bragg. According to multiple independent reports, Fort Bragg hosted what was supposed to be a straightforward presidential visit. However, the atmosphere reportedly leaned more toward a political rally in uniform than a neutral military event. And yes, if you're wondering, isn't that kind of not allowed? You're already catching Ryan's drift.
New tonight, no fat soldiers, no political opposition to the president. Those were the directions to these soldiers sitting behind the president in the bleachers during his visit to Fort Bragg on Tuesday.
I want to talk about what happened at Fort Bragg 2 days ago. There was guidance put out, and this has been verified by multiple independent news outlets, saying, quote, these are to the soldiers of the 18th Airborne Corps and the U.S. Army.
Here's what reportedly went down. Soldiers from the 18th Airborne Corps were told that if their political views didn't align with the current administration, they needed to speak with leadership and be swapped out of the event with the president. Translation: if you don't cheer for the home team, stay on the bench.
If soldiers have political views that are in opposition to the current administration, then they need to speak with their leadership and get swapped out. This is swapped out of the event with the president.
To make the situation even more questionable, a vendor selling Make America Great Again merchandise appeared on base during the visit. Because nothing says apolitical military like selling campaign hats and T-shirts next to the barracks.
In addition, in an incredibly disturbing incident, there was a pop-up shop selling MAGA merchandise on post at Fort Bragg.
For many service members and for Ryan, this wasn't just awkward. It was a direct hit to the military's image as a neutral, nonpartisan institution. Ryan started with General Kane, a man who spent over 30 years in uniform without once wearing political merchandise or demanding partisan loyalty from his troops. Ryan asked if Kane had ever been required to pledge political loyalty as a junior officer during his career or at any posting.
At any time in your 30-plus years of incredibly distinguished service, did you have to make a pledge of partisan or political loyalty?
No, sir.
Thank you.
The answer each time was a firm no. Ryan made sure to commend him for holding the line literally, the one between duty to country and duty to party. If Kane was the gold standard, Fort Bragg was the what not to do case study.
And I want to commend you. You've been on the record on this, including in your confirmation hearings where you clarified, quote, I've never worn any political merchandise or said anything to that effect.
With the general handled, Ryan pivoted to Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, who was about to have a very bad day. Ryan asked a simple question. Was Hegseth familiar with DoD Directive 1344.10? For the uninitiated, that's the military's no politics in uniform rule. Basically, the thing that keeps the armed forces from turning into campaign volunteers.
Secretary Hegseth, are you familiar with DoD Directive 1344.10? Political activities of the members of the armed forces?
Well, first off, I don't buy into your
yes or no? Are you
insinuation
familiar
that pledges
with-
are being done under this administration. That's
I
your
reclaim my
insinuation.
time.
Instead of a crisp, "Yes, I am," Hegseth, well, let's just say he took the scenic route.
Will you please answer
I'm answering your
these
question.
questions?
Where politics has been considered for service members.
Are you familiar with this directive? Yes or no?
He dodged, deflected, and tried to reframe the question. Ryan pressed harder, asking if the directive had been changed under Hegseth's watch. Again, more verbal gymnastics, no straight answer.
Has anything changed in that directive under your guidance, given what happened 2 days ago at Fort Bragg? Is there a new policy change that we're not aware of?
Again, I totally reject your insinuation.
Ryan then asked if Hegseth had ever worn a MAGA hat in front of the troops at an official event. Hegseth admitted he owned plenty, but didn't believe he'd worn one in front of the troops, officially.
Have you ever worn a MAGA hat in front of the troops?
I own plenty of MAGA hats, but I don't.
Have you
know
ever
that I
worn
have.
one in front of the troops at an official event? I don't
I'm
believe
aware
so.
of.
I don't believe so.
Then came the kicker. Was it appropriate for the President of the United States to wear political merchandise, like a Make America Great Again hat at official military events?
Do you think it's appropriate for the President of the United States to wear political merchandise, including a MAGA hat, at official events, including West Point commencement?
The Commander-in-Chief.
Yes or no?
Hegseth's answer was what Ryan was waiting for.
Commander-in-Chief.
Yes or no?
Can wear whatever hat he wants to include the phrase "Make America Great Again," because I would like to
you
make
think
America
that's-
great again as well.
To Ryan, that was the problem in a nutshell. Top brass defending the blending of politics and military life instead of drawing a hard boundary. Directive 1344.10 exists for a reason, to protect military neutrality. The second service members are seen as political actors instead of defenders of the Constitution. Public trust starts to crumble. And in some countries, well, history shows exactly where that path leads. Spoiler alert, it's not good. Ryan's argument was simple. The military should never be used as a campaign backdrop, and soldiers shouldn't feel pressured to prove political loyalty to participate in events.
I strongly disagree with you. To please, for the good of our troops, this is an incredibly difficult moment, and we need leaders like you to continue to echo the apolitical nature.
To him, Fort Bragg wasn't a minor slip-up. It was a dangerous precedent. With the clock running down, Ryan delivered the political equivalent of a mic drop.
I think your tenure as Secretary of Defense has been shameful and weak, and you should resign. I yield back.
Ryan delivered the blow that would echo across news headlines and social media. It was blunt, it was public, and it was the kind of statement that leaves a room in stunned silence. Ryan's closing blow worked because it wasn't wrapped in partisan fireworks. He framed it as a matter of patriotism, not party loyalty. He wasn't accusing just to score a headline, though. Let's be honest, headlines were inevitable.
My concern is that the Trump administration has militarized what is effectively a law enforcement issue. This is a really grave threat to the constitutional order.
It was about holding the line on one of the few areas in American life that's supposed to be above politics, the armed forces. And if you strip away the political labels, the central question he raised is one most Americans would agree on. Do we really want our military pledging loyalty to a politician instead of the Constitution?
Soldiers, for one, aren't trained to engage in law enforcement. They don't know how to engage with people and respect their constitutional rights.
The Army is reportedly investigating the Fort Bragg incident, at least regarding the Make America Great Again pop-up shop. Whether that leads to real changes or just gets buried under a pile of "we'll do better next time" remains to be seen. As for Hegseth, he didn't exactly respond with a resignation letter, but Ryan's very public challenge put him, and the Pentagon's political boundaries, under a national microscope.
Some of these troops' behave would likely violate a whole host of Defense Department regulations, which effectively prohibit partisan activity in uniform. And
Maybe you've never worn a uniform. Maybe you couldn't name DoD Directive 1344.10 if your life depended on it. But here's why it matters. Once political loyalty starts creeping into the military, it's not easy to shove it back out. The trust between the public and the military, arguably the most respected institution in the country, depends on that firewall holding. Ryan's takedown was about more than one bad week at Fort Bragg. It was about making sure the military doesn't become just another partisan tool, because once it does, the Constitution starts looking a lot less secure.
So this is a week that is very problematic for the Army's image that could definitely have lasting effects on its relationship with the public.
Whether you support Ryan or not, the message was clear. Politics has no place in the barracks, on the parade ground, or in the chain of command. Pat Ryan did not just humiliate Pete Hegseth, he reminded everyone watching that the oath is to the Constitution, not to a hat, a slogan, or a political figure. So guys, that was it. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also hit the bell icon so you get all our notifications in time. Until next time.